Yeah, I'm just now getting over
Can everybody hear okay? Because I can't hear anything back here, so I just want to make sure everyone can hear in the audience. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to our regular quarterly meeting. Tonight is Monday, October 18th. And I just want to say one thing before we start. The reason for me sitting in this chair tonight Had the pleasure of our county executive spent probably one of the better weekends of his life marrying his daughter in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I believe the county executive is entitled to a little gallery time today rather than doing the business up here. So that was the reason I'm sitting in tonight for him. We're still going to work in conjunction, but certainly earned that right. It was a beautiful event, and I would like to have everyone just congratulate on his daughter getting married tonight. Congratulations, Keith, again. And with that, if we could, I'd like to start tonight's meeting of invocation. And Commissioner Paul Powell, would you please do that for us this evening? All rise.
Our gracious Heavenly Father, as we come before our throne again tonight, we ask forgiveness for our sins. We ask, Lord, that you be with us here tonight in every decision we make. Lead, guide, and direct us each day we live. We might walk closer to thee. Teach us, Lord, to look to you for everything. We ask, Lord, that you be with those that are sick and downtrodden tonight, whatever their needs might be. Watch over and care for them. These things we ask in thy humble name. Amen.
Amen. County Executive, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. And again, welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. Before we begin, to make sure we can do our business tonight, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Chester Sherrill.
Yes.
Gary Williams.
Here.
Brian Ruling.
Here.
Bobby Sherman.
Here.
James Breland.
Here.
Bill Hatfield.
Here.
Joyce Dotson. Here. Ronnie Land.
Here.
Jeff Barger.
Here.
Paul Powell.
Here.
David Cartwright.
Here.
Judy Dishman. Here. Frank Silver.
Here.
Clint Huth.
Here.
David Hudson.
Here.
Tommy Johnson.
Here.
Tom Bonero.
Here.
And Jeff Mackey.
Here.
Thank you. So we certainly have a quorum this evening. Thank you for all for coming to this important business. Before we begin too, we did have, as you recall, a special called meeting of the County Commission, and that was on September 20th, 2021. In the packet, we should have received our minutes for that meeting. I'd be looking for a motion to approve those minutes this evening. So moved by Commissioner David Hudson. Second? Mr. Silver. Thank you. All in favor of approval of those minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Entered. Madam Clerk, I'd also like to enter the trustees' report for this evening, the financial cash flow for this evening, and also all our members should have received the school board in their package. Is that correct? So we see some of our government officials here, as always, and as customary. For those who would like to give a report, I'd like to start with the Sheriff's Department. Is there someone here today that would like to give a report for that department, please?
I don't know if like's the appropriate word, but I'll do it. Chairman, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be brief like Sheriff Swanner normally is. For the month of July, the Sheriff's Department answered 1,206 calls. We did 51 arrests and citations. The average prisoners booked for that month was 91. The month of August, we had 1,312 calls for service with 66 total arrests and citations. We booked in 108 prisoners. And the month of September, total calls were still around 1,109. Total arrests were 30. 84 prisoners booked in that month. We're running a daily total on prisoners between 100 and 110. It's about what we're hanging at for the time being. We seem to be hitting a log jam with courts and stuff again. It's kind of slowing everything down, and it's all related to the same thing it's been related to for the past year. It's COVID issues. So that's what I have. Anybody has any questions?
Any commissioners have any questions? All right, thank you, sir,
Thank
for
you.
that report. Next, for the EMS report, is there someone from EMS, Puckett, Shane, Jason, anyone would like to give a report this evening? Thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive, Commissioners. I'm here for two reasons. The first is to introduce Mr. Jason Payne. He's in addition to our leadership team. He's going to be replacing Mr. Will Pitt. Will has decided to become a professional father. He's having too many children. His wife is, but he's been working through a transition with Jason. Jason brings many years of experience. But before I turn it over to him, I wanted to talk about something else that's just it's on my heart more than anything. Is we've had a tough year with COVID. About 4 years ago, I was asked to serve on the 911 board here, and we've lost 3 members of our board this past year. We lost Terry Dishman, we lost Cecil Nunley, and most recently we lost Mr. Winfred Smith, who was our director. And that was probably the toughest for me personally, because Winfred was a good friend, but most of you know I had a pretty serious accident here a few years ago. Fell out of a tree and broke my back in 5 places. The first person I saw after I had that accident was Winfred. He's the first person that got to me. And if you've ever had a serious injury like that, or I've always been the caregiver, not the person that needed care. And Winfred really didn't do any life-saving measures other than reassurance, telling me it's going to be okay. You know, I'm here. But did more than that. He coordinated everybody, and he's the one that got me out of the woods. And so, from that point on, Winfred was he was my hero, honestly. And so, that's been tough for me personally, and I'm sorry. I didn't really expect to get a little emotional about it, but I wanted to say that publicly because we've lost some really, really great people. And the thing that we have special here in this community is I believe that we have people that serve. And the 3 gentlemen that we lost on our board are part of that fabric of this community. They served. They love this community, and it's what makes it special. And so those were hard losses for us. But with that, I'd just like to remember those folks and kind of carry on that torch of service as you do. We wouldn't be here tonight if you weren't serving. So with that, I'll stop. But I wanted to recognize that. I've kind of been carrying that around. A lot of people don't know that story about Winfred and that relationship that we had. But I've just been carrying it with me. I thought it was important to share that and acknowledge what a special person he was, and the contributions that he made to our 911 center, but also, I mean, if there was a call here, Winfred was there from the start to the end. And it wasn't because it was a job requirement, it was because he really cared about this community, and it was important to him. So carrying that forward. With that, I'm going to ask, I don't think Jason has anything necessarily prepared. I'll tell you that we did have a spike in COVID. Everyone knows this. It's not news to you. It affects the hospitals. It affects transports. We seem to have plateaued from that right now. I'm hoping that we continue to see a decrease in numbers, but we're prepared if we don't. And the local EMS crews here have done a phenomenal job. I'm so proud of them. you know, the nurses, the doctors, the EMS folks, the firefighters, police officers, when all this is going on, they show up and go to work. They show up, put their uniform on, and they take care of business. And I think that we all understand that they do that, sometimes sacrificing their own health and possibly putting their family at risk for some of the things that they could bring home. So it's a huge sacrifice, and it's not because of the big paychecks that they're bringing in. It comes from, it's a servant's heart, and so I appreciate them. They've been tasked with doing more, running more, so I've got to recognize them for the job that they do. With that, I keep saying I hope we're over the hump and we can get things back to normal, but we're braced if we're not. We'll adapt and overcome and make it happen. I don't know of any issues that we've had. I talked to Will. He didn't have anything to report there. But with that, I'll turn it over to Jason Payne. He can say just a couple of words, and then we'll turn it over to someone else. Thank you for the extra time. I appreciate that. Jason.
Thank you, Shane. Good evening, commissioners, staff, members of the gallery. I am completely humbled and honored to be here as the latest addition to Tennessee. A couple things that I'm having a hard time getting used to. I'm coming from Phoenix, so the switch from brown to green has been pretty overwhelming. People actually smiling and waving back is really catching me off guard, but it is a very nice change. So to Shane and to the leadership group of Puckett, thank you for believing in me and bringing me on board. So two of my biggest points that are constantly in the back of my mind is service delivery and community involvement. Both of those are extremely important to me, so therefore it's extremely important to Puckett, but more importantly, it's important to all of you and your constituents. I hope to have the highest level of transparency and open communication with everybody. I figure if we handle any problems head on and I'm transparent about them and I have open dialogue, I don't think there's anything that we can't overcome. And I promise you that I will do everything within my power to make sure they never happen in the first place, but if they do, to identify the problem and come to you with a solution immediately. But thank you all so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I will be honest with you, this is one of the most beautiful places that I've been to in this great country of ours, and I've traveled around a lot, so I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Payne, and welcome.
And you ain't saying nothing yet.
And also, I wanted to thank Shane. That was unprepared remarks, but it's a lesson that there's true value in remembering and having the guts to talk about those we loved and those we served with. That was a tremendous tribute to all those people and everybody. So thank you, Shane. That was a real highlight of our meeting tonight. Thank you. Next, I'd like to hear from someone from 911. If there's anything to report, Brian or Clint, is there anything you want to report to the commission today?
Nothing to report. We actually, fingers crossed, have got a full staff now, so.
All our dispatchers are back in action?
All of us are back in action.
Clint, anything else?
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to add to that, again, like you, Tom, thank Shane for those kind words for Winford. Those of us that worked with him on a regular basis, we couldn't agree more with that. At the 911 center, at our last 911 board meeting, we did name Commissioner Ruling as our interim director at the 911 center, so he is there right now until we make a permanent decision on what we're going to do, and we're in that process now. Speaking on COVID, I know COVID's a concern of everyone. Here about 2 months ago, we were sitting at our highest number ever 368 cases, active cases in the county, and as I checked this morning, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we were down to 58.
We're back up to 61 this
Back
week.
up, but a lot better than we were 2 months ago. But the thing I'd like to stress is don't get overconfident. Flu season is soon here upon us, and we need to be prepared for that. If I can encourage the vaccine, I will. I will not mandate, but I will encourage.
Thank you, Clint. And Brian, congratulations. Just from this chair alone, no better person for the job right now. Thank you. Mr. Swafford from the school on the Ems Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my fellow citizens. We sent you our financial statement. Be glad to answer any questions on that statement. Our financial situation is we continue to be in a good place financially. I would like to let you know that our construction projects at Griffith, the high school, welding room, and the athletic renovation all should be finished before the end of the year, hopefully by Thanksgiving. It's been a lot of work. I don't know how we did 3 at one time, but we did. Test scores, I want to mention our test scores. We've been through, every speaker talks about COVID, and we've been in COVID for 19 months or so. And our 2-year average test scores, our district and all our schools were 5s out of a scale of 5. And so our teachers and our students and our staff have been doing the hard work right through this pandemic, and the test results show that. So shout out to all our staff and students. Director of schools, we have an opening in the director of schools position starting February 1st. Our school board is in the process of hiring a new director. They will be doing interviews this week, and hopefully, I know in their minds they hope to have someone picked and on board and under contract by sometime in December, so that they can transition during January and take office February 1st. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Coach, would the new nominee be part of that decision of hiring a new director?
It's according to how, I would assume so. It's according to how quickly they get on board, but I would assume so, yes. They'll have an equal vote, one of 9.
Thank you, Mr. Swafford.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll move to the Highway Department. Eric?
Well, I guess I'll start out with a storm we had a couple of weeks ago. We had several areas, roads into distant dips, creeks out everywhere. I guess I don't have to tell you what happened. But that one rainstorm cost us about $60,000, just the highway department. And I'll just leave it at that. We've got everything pretty much fixed right now. The only other thing that I want to talk about, we've had a lot of problems with COVID, just like everybody else has. I've still got 4 people out. I've had one person that's going to retire. So we're very short on personnel right now. So if you don't see many mowers running, that's because I'm having to pull people and do other things. And then the only other thing, the money is ticked up some. You can look at the front sheet there, it's ticked up somewhat. And other than that, I'll take questions.
Eric?
Yes.
You was talking about the bridges and everything.
Yes.
Is there any state relief or any kind of thing that can be coming in on that?
I'm not getting anything. The only thing I get, all I get is gas tax money every month, other than what, if we get grant money or something in here and y'all pass along. That's all I get. There's not enough money to go after anything else. I mean,
No flood relief or anything?
no, you got to just about have $100,000, and then you're lucky to get it in 2 years, and then you might get 60% of that. So
And a little note on that, Eric, that number's gonna change. I got that info last week.
that's good.
It's gonna get worse.
Oh, that's nice. That's great. I will say that we got some good comments earlier today where up here north of town where it floods all the time, some comments were made we might need to put some reflectors up, and so the guys, when they go in there and try to rescue people and stuff, they can find the roads, because it was pretty bad this last time. It's higher than I've seen in a while. But I don't have anything else unless y'all have questions.
Thank you, Eric.
All right, thank you.
Next, I see Sheldon from Ag. Anything you'd like to announce today, Sheldon?
Most of what I was going to report, I provided it in written form, but the one thing I did want to do tonight is to introduce our new 4-H agent, Miss Dusty Ragland. She joined us the first of this month as an extension agent working 100% with our 4-H youth development program. So I wanted to introduce her tonight.
Thank you. I'm Dusty Ragland. I just live right over the county line in Van Buren County, but I've been almost a lifelong resident in Tennessee, and I've been almost in this area for 30 years. And I'm happy to be here. I want you to know I'm here for the kids, and I'm very excited to get to start working with them. And you'll probably be seeing me because I'll probably be asking you for help or money or to volunteer. Or all of the above, yes. Thank you.
Well, we welcome you. Welcome. Then, Dr. Pickett, do you have anything on Valley Fest this evening you want to share with us?
I'd be glad to. Thank you. Some in this audience have been at Valley Fest meetings earlier today, so pulling double duty, right? And we've got a board member. By the way, I've got my card. I just want to let you know, if you don't have yours, I certainly encourage that you get it. Vaccination, I've had the 3 shots, and I'm proud of it. So if you don't have it, please do. Probably in a small community, you've heard a lot of rumors about money. I will say this, with the partnership that we've had with the county and with assistance from the city, we've been able to do some pretty good things with the Valley Fest property. We've added on with the purchase of a building and some more acreage near the creek. We've got another project that looks like we're going to be able to pull off to add another, 6 or 7 acres on the south end by the creek. A lot of that is going to happen now, primarily because somebody decided that we were doing some decent things and gave us some money. And the county executive called me one day and he said, well, I believe you've been out there mowing. I said, yeah, I think I was out there the other day. He said, well, somebody came through and said, who is that? And so some old guy about 80 years old out there mowing. So this fellow said, we're going to give them some money. So I get a call from Keith and he says, can you come down here? We need to put a priority list together. And I said, okay, how much? I don't know. So we put a list together. I still got some of my scratching in this little book of what we thought was reasonable, which turned out to be about $150,000. We thought that was really good. These people sent it back, says, is that all you need? Well, we didn't know what to say. Ron's on our board and our commissioner and mayor for the city is also on there. And so we started looking around and said, well, how much? And they said, well, think more like $500,000. Oh, okay. So we did, and they sent us a letter awarding us $400,000 with the condition that if we do this wisely, there might be more to come. So I'm here to say that we're going to be able to complete a lot of things. The building that's been started with the help of the county and county executive and I were able to get a little grant to get it started. It will be completed soon. And if you hadn't been in there, come and look at it. It's a multi-purpose facility now. We can use it for meetings. It's almost as big as this room. And it's been done very well. It's been insulated and lights put in. It looks pretty nice. We'll finish that. I don't know if you've noticed, thanks to Commissioner Eric, with his assistance, If you've seen the asphalt that's down, that will be striped this Friday. It'll look even better. That's taken care of. We're going to finish the building that the county bought, the house on the south end. Actually, I've been down there working, 3 of us down there today, working for 3 or 4 hours. We're going to make it look like the south end pavilion. We hadn't named it yet, but the picnic area. And I think we're going to get some road built in there from the assistance of the highway department. So things are really looking good, and we promised to spend it wisely because we do want to see if we can maybe get a little more. So I'm happy to say things are looking up.
Thank you, Winston.
Questions, anyone? Thank you.
It's great to hear such a result of collaboration of efforts, that money, and random place and time. Instead of being on the golf course that day, you were cutting the grass. But it just shows that just do what you do what you love, and you get rewarded. That's right.
And all of them will be capital improvements, by the way. It won't go toward a big entertainment budget and all that. Commissioner Hatfield knows that. He's on the committee for that. But it will help with all areas.
That's really great news. Thank you for that. Last, before we move on to budget, audit report. That's me. We did not hold a audit committee meeting this morning. Primarily for the primary reason is we are now last in line for auditing this year. Last year we were first, so our audit is still in the process. There really is very little to report upon. So, and also I think part of the thing is we've had such positive reports in the last 2 or 3 years. We're off the radar, so to speak, so our report will be last. So I'd anticipate at our January regular meeting, there will be something to report from audit. But we did not have an audit committee report this morning. Any questions on that? Okay. Mr. Barger.
All right.
Okay, I'll try to keep it as short as I can. There's quite a bit to cover. We had a Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting and a Budget Committee meeting. We'll try to go through the transfers first. And everyone should have some of these in that would receive them in their packets. But this came as a recommendation from the Budget Committee. A transfer. It was from Budget Code 101, 39,000 fund balance, sum total of $3,000. Transferring that to 51,600,207 Register of Deeds medical insurance. That same amount, $3,000, and that was a motion from the Budget Committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Land. Any discussion?
Second.
Any discussion?
You got one, you can't hear me.
No, I'm asking if there's any discussion on the motion.
Oh, discussion.
I'll make a third second. We can move on from that. Any discussion on that? No discussion.
I'll make a comment that this was transferring in the Register of Deeds office that they picked up the insurance, the medical insurance, and that's what this is for.
There being no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right. All right, the next item, and this also came as a motion from the Budget Committee. There's a transfer from Budget Code 101, transfer from 39,000 fund balance, sum total of $3,720, transferring that to 53,400,719. That same total of $3,720, and that was coming out of his reserves.
A motion coming from the Budget Committee?
Yes.
Do we have a second? Commissioner Shell? Any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. The next item that the Budget Committee, and this came as a motion from the Budget Committee, they
Budget Code 101, transfer from 39,000 fund balance, sum total of $5,500, transferring that to 51,800,207, county building medical insurance, that same total, $5,500.
We have a motion from the Budget Committee. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Huth. Any discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Shell.
Since it applies to a new employee we have full-time, I'd like to know how we got by the hiring committee and not giving other people in the county the option to apply for a full-time job other than hiring without knowing anybody.
I'll refer that to legal counsel and the county executive, please.
Well, I do all the hiring.
But shouldn't the employees have an option that they could have a chance to move up a little bit in the county?
Working in sanitation, I don't think that's a move-up situation.
We're talking about any employee, not just one specific area.
Is that a question, Commissioner Shell?
I made the hire, so.
Okay, well, that's all I need to know.
Yep.
Any other discussion? And I believe this is excess of $5,000. We need to do a roll call.
Chester Shell?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Gary Williams?
Yes.
Brian Ruling?
Yes.
Bobby Sherman?
Yes.
James Breland?
Yes.
Bill Hatfield?
Yes.
Joyce Dotson?
Yes.
Ronnie Land?
Yes.
Jeff Barger?
Yes.
Paul Powell?
Yes.
David Cartwright?
Yes.
June Dishman?
Yes.
Frank Silver?
Yes.
Clint Huth?
Yes.
David Hudson?
Yes.
Tommy Johnson?
Yes.
Tommy Nero?
Yes.
And Jeff Mackey?
Yes.
Motion passes, or transfer passes.
Yes. And the next item that we discussed was, and this also came as a motion from the Budget Committee, transfer from Budget Code 171 capital projects, transferring from 39,000 fund balance, sum total of $8,520, transferring that to 171 581.90 791, that same total of $8,520. And this was reimbursement from tire pickup.
That's money in and out from the state, correct?
Yes.
We have a motion from the Budget Committee. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Land. Any discussion?
That's all right.
Yes, that is money in and out. When TDOT had the tire collection where we had the issue over off of East Valley Road, and this was a reimbursement of those funds to pick up those tires.
And I believe even though it's in and out, it is in excess of $5,000. We'll need to do a roll call, please.
Yes.
Chester Shell?
Yes.
Gary Williams?
Yes.
Brian Ruling?
Yes.
Bobby Sherman?
Yes.
James Breland?
Yes.
Bill Hatfield?
Yes.
Joyce Dotson?
Yes.
Ronnie Land?
Yes.
Jeff Barger?
Yes.
Paul Powell?
Yes.
David Cartwright?
Yes.
June Dishman?
Yes.
Frank Silver?
Yes.
Clint Huth?
Yes.
David Hudson?
Yes.
Tommy Johnson?
Yes.
Tommy Nero?
Yes.
And Jeff Mackey?
Yes.
Motion transfer passes.
All right. Mr. Chairman, the next one that we discussed in the Budget Committee, we had to get a 5-day rule waiver. We'll need to have the same waiver before we present to the full commission.
Yeah, so what we have here, it came up in budget. There's a request for a transfer from the clerk's office. And again, because it was not on the agenda, we would have to ask that we waive the 5-day rule on this particular transfer before Mr. Barger can present that. So do I have a motion to waive the 5-day rule? Motion from Commissioner Hudson, second from Commissioner Ruling. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Mr. Barger, please present the transfer.
All right. And this also came as a motion from the Budget Committee to transfer funds from Budget Code 101, transfer from 39,000 fund balance. And it's the County Clerk's Reserve, which is 54,515, a sum total of $6,100, transferring that to 52,500, 719 County Clerk Office Equipment, that same amount, $6,100.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Mackey. Again, this is in excess of $5,000, so your roll call,
Do you
please.
really need this? No?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Pay for your part.
Chester Shell.
Yes.
Gary Williams.
Yes.
Brian Ruling.
Yeah.
Bobby Sherman.
Yes.
James Breland.
Yes.
Bill Hatfield.
Yes.
Joyce Dawson.
Yes.
Ronnie Land.
Yes.
Jeff Barger.
Yes.
Paul Powell.
Yeah.
David Cartwright.
Yeah.
June Dishman.
Yes.
Frank Silver.
Yes.
Clint Hood.
Yes.
David Hudson.
Yes.
Tommy Johnson.
Yes.
Tom Nero.
Yes.
Jeff Mackey.
Maybe.
Motion and transfer pass. Chairman Barger, this is actually item number 2 on the new business agenda, the revised bond resolution.
Yes,
So it was something we did discuss in budget, and just for flow and expedition, would you like to present that here while you're there, and then we can take a motion discussion from there?
Yes, I can. I can bring to you the motion and the recommendation that the Budget Committee had for the bond resolution, on the fire department bond resolution. And it came in, this is, I guess, in the form of a motion, wait, that's the highway, I'm sorry, got the wrong one.
758.
758, yep. I brought that one up with me. But it came as a motion, where was it?
758-2021, Jeff.
Yeah, there it is. The infrastructure grant plan. There was a motion and a second from the Budget Committee to move forward with the resolution. Yeah. Say that again, Tommy.
It's for the revised bond
The
resolution.
the revised copy of the resolution 758.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
Second from Tommy Johnson. And what this is, Commission, we had previously passed at a previous meeting a bond resolution for the fire departments, and there was some additional language required by the attorney and the USDA for this, and that's what brought us the need to have a second vote on this. Commissioner, or Chairman, or County Executive Cartwright, is there anything to add on that for the discussion, so everyone has clarity of what we're voting
I
on?
think you covered it pretty well. We had counsel on the phone tonight prior to Councilman Mitchell being here, but it was explained thoroughly. I think we got a clear understanding of the term bond used in the federal arena, so to speak, and we look at it more, or as an old banker looks at it more as a note. So there will be no bonds sold, anything like that. So
Right.
it's just a term that they use in that situation.
It was one of the transfers was when the wording was rural housing versus rural development or something like that. So there was just a couple of words that was changed in the wording of it.
Any other questions or discussion from the Commission? Okay, there being none, we will do a roll call on this, Madam Clerk, please. Second was Commissioner Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, roll call.
No, roll call.
Chester Shell.
Yes.
Gary Williams.
Yes.
Brian Ruling.
Yes.
Bobby Sherman.
Yes.
James Breland.
Yes.
Bill Hatfield.
Yes.
Joyce Dawson.
Yes.
Ronnie Land.
Yes.
Jeff Barger.
Yes.
Paul Powell.
Yeah.
David Cartwright. June Dishman.
Yes.
Frank Silver.
Yes.
Clint Hood.
Yes.
David Hudson.
Yes.
Tommy Johnson.
Yes.
Tom Nero.
Yes,
And Jeff Mackey.
Yes.
motion passes. I do want to address Commissioner Williams. He had asked for a moment to address the commission regarding an amendment he presented to the chair, and I believe he passed that out as well. I explained to Commissioner Williams that procedurally we did need to vote on the original resolution, but you certainly have the opportunity, as all commissioners do, to address us when asked. So please, Mr. Williams, if you'd like
Yes,
to address
I'd like
us.
to make a motion to add a amendment to resolution 758, 2021.
I second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Williams and a second from Commissioner Shell. That opens up the discussion to the rest of the commission. Please ask your questions to Mr. Williams and Shell regarding the amendment.
Mr. Williams, what's the addendum?
Well, I'm all for fire departments 100%. I'll get that out straightforward. But every one of us here voted yes. We know what the resolution means, what it stands for. But a lot of people out there do not, and they don't understand the language in it. And based on my amendment to resolution 758, 2021, I'd like to have this amendment passed. And I'll read it. Whereas 728, 2021 did not specify, let it be specified that resolution 758, 2021 is a one-time standalone Sequatchie County bond loan issuance authorization resolution. And whereas no mention was made in the resolution 758, 2021 of paying the bond loan off under the specified time period, paid in full, the intent is to pay the bond issue off as soon as possible, certainly by the end of the year. And because the county voters have not voted on ballot to provide any county tax levy, or the Sequatchie County legislative body has not voted to raise taxes, and Sequatchie County has the finances in their 22 budget to pay the bond insurance loan off in full, no property sales, valorium, or tax levy of any kind will be levied on the citizens of Sequatchie County. Absolutely no tax levy will be initiated by resolution 758, 2021. And therefore, to advance resolution 758, 2021 in a timely manner, and in order to allow this amendment to stand without changes to the resolution 758, 2021, or additional commission meetings be scheduled to pass this amendment, and or resolution 728, 2021, 758, 2021, pass and vote on this date by the Sequatchie County legislative bodies will stand as being so approved at this time and date to accept the amendment in resolution 758, 2021. And this right here is just, when we talked to the attorney earlier, she said she had no problem adding this language to the issue, and it clarifies it up for a whole lot of people, and it does not change any language of the bond issue. Everything's still as it was, but it just is an explanatory document to be attached that tells everybody that don't understand what's going on.
Let me say this, just a little bit of correction. The resolution as you wrote or someone wrote, looks fine to me, but a little bit of correction. She did say she would review it.
Yeah.
She didn't say it would be fine. She said she needed to review. Now, we delayed this for a while. Now, let me just say this, and this body's going to do what they need to do, but there's some fire departments that need the money, and we can certainly waive the 5-day rule and do roll call vote and do this. Now, I would be interested in getting the view of Ms. Mitchell on this particular amendment. So, and respectfully, it was well written, and I think Gary's even told me that, if you vote no or whatever, that's fine, but he wanted to get his word out that he wanted additional detail in the payoff, clarity on not raising taxes, the tax levy, that sort of thing. And I think you've done that in the resolution.
Well, let me ask you this, Keith, did we not already budget to
Yes.
pay this? So it's already within the budget that we're paying this off.
Yes.
So the reality is this has already been passed in one form or another, has it not? Because we did pass a budget saying that we were paying it off.
Not really.
Correct. It's in the budget.
It
is in the budget.
But I yield to council.
Well, and also, so I'm glad you brought that up, County Executive, because we have a motion to second, but I want legal counsel's opinion. I think before we can even vote on that, we would have to do a 5-day waiver request for a motion, and then we can have further discussion on that. Is that correct? Okay, so.
Even, point of order, even to consider this resolution as addendum to the one we just passed, we would actually have to do that and rescind the vote that we just took. Because this would be an addendum to that resolution.
But you gotta start with a 5-day rule.
Right, that's the first thing.
5-day
So-
rule, then we'd have to actually have a rescinding of the resolution we just took care of.
The waiver of the 5-day rule will be the first order of business. Did anyone have making a motion to waive the 5-day rule?
Point of order.
Yes?
I was told that I should do it at this time rather than before.
Yes, procedurally you have to. It's not told, that's the process. We have a motion from the Budget Committee in a second. We have to vote on all those motions that are part of the agenda. So it's not that you were told to, that's the proper procedure that we have to do by law and statute. Is that correct, Counselor?
So then we would waive the 5-day rule, if we, and then we would rescind, and then we would consider the original resolution with the amendment.
But legal opinion, I just want you to give the legal opinion. Was it correct that we did need to vote on the motion that came out of the Budget Committee?
Yes.
Thank you. It's like to correct the record, no one was told the procedure.
In
The
the
procedure
last
is what
3
it
years,
is.
we attempted to get a grant to help these fire departments, and we know 3 years ago that we was in dire need of equipment. We had a meeting applying for a grant, and we called it in a dire need to get one. And why are we not able to get a grant for the fire departments within 3 years to get them the equipment we need? And
You got a grant, this is attached to a grant, this loan.
So it took 3 years to get it.
Let's go back to procedure. Jennifer, do you suggest we do a request for the 5-day
5-day
waiver
rule.
now?
Yeah,
Okay. Is there a motion to waive the 5-day order? Do we have a motion to waive the 5-day order? We have no motion. So there's no further discussion. There will be no vote. No one's made a motion to waive the 5-day rule. By law, we cannot proceed with that action.
It stands as voted.
Mr. Barber, anything else?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
There was another motion that came out of the Budget Committee, and Tommy, I may ask you to help me with my chicken scratch here, but there was, we were talking about the Rescue Plan Act, and there was $318,760 that came from the state. And it came as a motion out of the Budget Committee that we would, of that $318,760, that we would move $300,000 of that to transfer that to the 171 capital projects to be eventually moved to the Highway Department for Eric to work, and that would be under the advisement of CTAS, and that would be in January. Did I get all that right?
What this was back in June, we were notified that we would receive direct funding from the local infrastructure grant program with the state of Tennessee. And we received that money in August, $318,760. We received that. We've been talking about helping the highway department out for the last several meetings that we've had. This meeting, the motion was for a future transfer, January 1 or early January, to make a transfer to capital projects first. That's strategically done to help offset some of the rescue criteria that we adhere to.
Right.
Then to the highway department from there. Now this is a future transfer after January 1 that we will do. So the motion included getting guidance from CTAS to navigate through that documentation.
Right.
So I think that's the motion.
Yes. So we'll present it as a motion from the Budget Committee for a future transfer of the sum total of $300,000 that will be moved through capital projects and through the Highway Department, subject to review by CTAS.
I second that motion.
We have a second from Commissioner Johnson. Discussion-wise, I'll lead a couple comments. I had some questions during the Budget Committee on the procedure for this, and what this does, I found clarity thinking about it for me, is that it at least allows us to do an actionable event tonight by having it a future transfer, which will then allow Eric Higgins, our County Highway Department Supervisor, to actually start to put together a plan, all subject to CTAS's ability for us to do that. So that's this person's understanding of that. Any other discussion from the commissioner questions for the county executive or council?
That's the comment. I'd kind of reiterate that. That was my understanding of it too. This action tonight allows Eric to plan for those funds.
Any other questions or discussion? There being none, roll call.
Chester Shell,
Due to the lack of information on that, transfer early, I'll, abstain on that.
Gary Williams,
Yes.
Brian Rulon,
Yes.
Bobby Sherman,
Yes.
James Ragland,
Yes.
Bill Hatfield,
Yes.
Joyce Dodson,
Yes.
Ronnie Land,
Yes.
Jeff Parker,
Yes.
Paul Powell,
Yeah.
David Cartwright,
Yeah.
Jim Dishman,
Yes.
Frank Silver,
Yes.
Clint Huth,
Yes.
David Hudson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson,
Yes.
Tom Manero,
Yes,
and Jeff Mackey.
Yes.
motion passes. Mr. Berger?
We want to go through budget, building and grounds now.
Okay, and then we can circle back to item number 1, new business, yes.
Okay. All right. We had a couple items from buildings and grounds to cover, and this came as a recommendation from budget or from building and grounds. The properties 123 State Street declaration to surplus those properties, and that was a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Powell. County Executive, you just address that a little bit before we discuss?
We did this at committee, but 123 State Street is the old zipper factory, 66,000 square feet. We tried to practically give it away over the years. We spend on average about $10,000 to $12,000 a year on that building, 66,000 feet because of the insurance requirements. We have to keep the lights and the water on. Now those funds, that expenditure includes lights and water, but it's always a roof issue. Now there's been an uptick in what's going on in downtown Dunlap with the revitalization of downtown, and there's been some interest. Now, in my view, and I spoke this in committee in Buildings and Grounds, we need to surplus the property, keep ownership of it right now, but have the Industrial Development Board that we put together do the due diligence on it and hand an RFP it to the public. Request for proposal. Let them give us an idea on what they can do with that said property. So that keeps me out of the game of playing politics with this guy or this guy or this guy. It keeps the commissioners out of that, and it gives it off to the Industrial Development Board for exactly what they were elected to do by this body, county legislative body. So that's my recommendation. It came out of committee as a motion to do exactly that. So here it is in front of the county legislative body.
So again, to summarize, we have a motion to surplus the property located at 123 State Street. We have a second from Commissioner Powell. Any other discussion? I'm going to assume there's a certain valuation of that property that would require a roll call on this.
Yes.
Chester Shell,
Yes.
Gary Williams,
Yes.
Brian Rulon,
Yes.
Bobby Sherman,
Yes.
James Freeland,
Yes.
Bill Hatfield,
Yes.
Joyce Dodson,
Yes.
Ronnie Land,
Yes.
Jeff Parker,
Yes.
Paul Powell,
Yes.
David Cartwright,
Yes.
Jim Dishman,
Yes.
Frank Silver,
Yes.
Clint Huth,
Yes.
David Hudson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson,
Yes.
Tom Manero,
Yes,
and Jeff Mackey.
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, there was one more item that came out of committee as well, and it was a conflicted property at Hurd Street, and there was a motion it came as a motion from the Buildings and Grounds Committee to quit claim this property. And I'll yield the floor to Mr. Cartwright, and he can speak a little bit about that.
Councilor Mitchell, so.
Yep.
This is the Wayne Reynolds house. Mrs. Martha Lou passed away, and I believe Dale Bryant is now the owner of that property. Where that old railroad bed lot laid right there, I believe there were several individuals that claimed that. I know the Board of Education at one time, that was the old football, close to the football field, they had a claim in it. Mr. Reynolds worked that out and got the school board's part, got all of that worked out, but for some reason there's still a conflict where the county claimed that part. It's just a old 50-foot railroad. So
Zeke Camp actually.
okay, Zeke Camp also claimed it. He did a quick claim deed on it. And then he quick claimed it to the county. So that's how all that came about. It's in conflict. What Mr. Bryant has asked the county to do is just quit claim its interest to the railroad property. When I drew the deed, I just took the whole Wayne Reynolds property and just did a quick claim for the county executive to sign to say we have no interest in his house, the 50-foot right-of-way, or any of that. And Mr. Bryant's asked that to be done, and we've met about it, we've talked about it, and I would recommend it to get that cleaned up and get that conflict. I mean, it would end up in a lawsuit over who owns it. I don't know that the county ever owned. I mean, it wouldn't be worth our time or effort, and it's just that railroad right. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to ask.
And it's only about, and it only runs like 40 foot behind, like to the road or something. It's not a very big piece.
Whatever the railroad was right there.
Yeah.
It's the old railroad right there.
Would that be a separate lot, or would it be added to his property already?
Well, what he did was he actually filed a lawsuit against CSX, and so it actually got added to his lot. Mr. Reynolds owned that for, I think, back in the 1940s, or maybe even the 30s. I pulled those other deeds, but he's owned it a long time. So we finally got it all straightened out for Mr. Bryant when Miss Martha Lou passed away. So it's right now it's all one parcel. But it shows in conflict with the county, and like I said, he's resolved it with, the Board of Education at one time had an interest, and I think then it was First Baptist, but all that's been resolved except the county's interest.
Yep.
Do we have a second on that motion?
Yeah.
Trustee Schell? I just have a question, just procedurally, because it's not on the agenda, but it came through the Budget Committee. We don't need to do any waiver of that, because it's not one of the items, I think. As long as it comes through Budget Committee, which is on the agenda, we can hold that vote. Jennifer?
I think it came through the Building and Ground.
Is that,
Yeah.
that's sufficient enough to call the vote? Okay, well, let's do a roll call, please.
Chester Hill,
Yeah.
Gary Williams,
Yes.
Brian Ruling,
Yes.
Bobby Sherman,
Yes.
James Breland,
Yes.
Bill Hatfield,
Yes.
Joyce Dodson,
Yes.
Connie Land,
Yes.
Jeff Parker,
Yes.
Paul Powell,
Yes.
David Cartwright,
Yes.
Gene Dishman, Frank Silver,
Yes.
Clint Huth,
Yes.
David Hudson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson,
Yes.
Tommy Nero,
Yes,
Jeff Mackey.
Yes.
motion passes. Thank you,
All right.
Commissioner Berger.
I am going to shut up now.
Yes, thank
We
you.
did have a discussion on future planning, but I'll let someone else talk about that.
Great job this evening. There was a lot on your plate today. You did a great job. Thank you. I want to move back to the item number 1 that was on new business. I didn't mean to skip that for any reason other than the flow of the meeting this evening. So with the 7th District School Board vacancy appointment on the agenda, I believe we have an announcement from the county executive or legal counsel on that, our ability to move forward tonight.
Yes, you saw that there's been a resignation, there's a vacancy. The statute requires that the notice be published 7 days prior to the meeting. It actually got sent to the paper, but because of the publication dates, it's not been 7 days. So we're gonna have a special call meeting on November 1st at 5 o'clock. I know it's early in the evening. The school board meets at 6, and they're gonna be discussing the vacancy of the superintendent of schools. So we met, county executive and I met with Ms. Cagle and Mr. Venero. We felt that it was important that the 7th district be represented on that vote. And so that's why we're going to have that special called meeting. The special called meeting will be in the paper this week. this week, and the notice of the vacancy will be in there this week. So we'll have a meeting at 5. Whoever is the nominee, Ms. Cagle will swear them in at 5, and then they'll be available to go to the school board meeting at 6 to vote for the superintendent.
Can you explain while we're into this, about the first district, commissioner, how we end up with the waiver setting, or some kind of information where the people will know?
Sure. Mr. Shell brought to my attention this week that under the new redistricting plan, the current first district member, which is Greg Dawson, will now be a member of the 3rd district when the new redistricting plan goes into effect. But the statute provides that the county can't change the lines, and it does not remove him from office. So he would not run again until, I believe, 2024. So he will remain on the school board as the 1st district representative, even though we've moved him to the 3rd district, and nothing will change about that. And Commissioner Shell was concerned about it. You know, it's a one county school. We're all one county for the school, so he's going to represent that one school no matter what district we have put him in. So it won't change anything about the current school board the way it sits.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Counselor, and thank you for that announcement. A lot of thought went into moving that. It's a critical issue of the school board. It's very important to our county. And it was also very important to the county executive and council that this person have a vote in the next choice for superintendent. So we figured that was the best way to get it. I know it's crunch time, but it's better to do it 100% right and the process right than have to go back and have a whole discussion on what went wrong. So that is on Monday, the 1st at 5 o'clock. Reiterate to the commission, we need you there. We need a quorum to do this. So we need our people there. So please put that on your calendar. Give your best effort to make it that meeting. It's a very critical special call meeting. Keith.
I will be brief. I know Tommy's over there shaking his head because this meeting's at 5 o'clock, but strategically, that's all we had with notification requirements. So Tommy maybe take a day's vacation or something, cut hay or whatever. Just a couple of things, and I know this may be the last time that I get to address this situation, but I want to speak first about Pete Swafford. Pete and I have worked very well together. He's done a splendid job with the school board and the school system in general. I've known Pete most of my adult life, and Pete, I just want to say with a heartfelt thank you and job well done. And I applaud what you've gotten done working with folks on either side, and I know it's a tough gig. And you guys that are panning, so to speak, for that next seat that he sits in now, good luck, because I think I got to get a lot of complaining. I wouldn't have that job. So anyway, good luck, and you guys do a splendid job, and we have several members here, and I appreciate it. Next, I just want to, for the record, the Madam Clerk, I want to say this. I appreciate Mr. Shell's spirited enthusiasm in our meetings, but I did want to ask one question, Mr. Shell.
Yes,
who hired you?
The county, the voters.
No, who hired you in your current position at sanitation?
You did in my time.
That's all my time.
Thank you, County Executive. Before we go, do we have any notaries this morning?
We have three. Jerry Ruthon, Lana Newton, and Karen Hicks.
We have three notaries for the motion. Dave Hudson, second from Commissioner Breland. All in favor of appointment of three notaries?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you all for attending tonight's meeting. If there's no other business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Very good. Oh, yes.
Hey, I'm over here.
Yes, boss.
Okay. I sat back here, kept my mouth shut, which that's unusual. My packet. I mean, 3 4 years ago, transfers in their packet. Who did? I think somebody's weeding me out. I didn't get the first council transfer in my packet.
They weren't all right.
Well,
Point noted.
No,
we'll get on top of that next time, but I assure you, that's we get them out as quick as we can, and we may have left a few out, but I apologize for that, but we'll do a better job. And thank you for correcting me in public. It'll come back to you, I promise.
We are adjourned.
Take Ron on a tour, anybody wants to come over.